We're live and interactive, and the starting soon's not up, Stephen, but it is now. We'll see you soon. It's on now, Stephen.
And I'm on as well. Hello, folks.
Quick.
That was abrupt as hell. Anyway, welcome to the show, folks. This is Stephen John McLaughlin here and John Christopher Walsh
So
here
abrupt.
from MBE here on this Friday night here in the UK. And that can mean only one thing. We are doing another movie review and we are doing another Telepathy VJ film. This time it's 2017's Mersal. Yes, John, telepathy.
I've been saying it wrong for months.
Well, no one's corrected us so far. We've got a wonderful community there that's been keeping us right all these months, John. But this film, for anyone that doesn't know it, I'll read this very, very short synopsis that is on IMDb, and it's all about a magician and a doctor.
We'll go to you, Stephen, for that. Intro again.
Attempt to expose the corruption at the heart of India's medical industry. So, John, right away we know this is going to be one of Telepathy VJ's social message movies. And we do get that in abundance in this film. Again, it's not preachy in any way.
No.
There's a great story to be told there. Now, I messaged you, John, last night when I was halfway through this film. And I thought they jumped the shark a little. Not a little, a big bit. And this one, I thought they were doing something. We don't want to reveal what that part is just now, but it's about an hour and 35 minutes into the film, halfway through. I thought, oh my god, what are they doing? This film's been absolutely great at this point. Are they about to ruin it? But we'll find out. Were they about to ruin it in our review? John, I'm now going to hand it over to yourself. 7.8 out of 10, by the way, on IMDb. Very highly rated.
Thoroughly deserved rating, Stephen. Really enjoyed this movie, and you're right, it was another social message he was trying to portray here. In this case, the corruption at the heart of the health sort of care, the health system over in India. Is there anything in India that is not corrupt? The voting's corrupt. What was the other thing? It was a farming thing, the corporations.
So that's why all the
abusing
this guy, he's highlighting all this stuff.
Stephen, is it Babu? Omar, I think it is, comments a lot about telepathy. I'm just going to call him telepathy now.
It's going to be a hard switch, John.
Yes, it's going to be a hard switch. I've been saying telepathy for so long. But he reveals the sort of humanitarian work, or just the sort of stuff he does for the little man, and the government don't like it over there. They don't. Is it Modi? I think. Not a very likeable guy. But Stephen, away from politics, into this rating system. Our rating system is as follows. This is going to be an interesting review tonight, incidentally, because I've been toiling with basic English all day, so don't be surprised if I sound like I'm having... I called you mother, yes, daddy man. There's been a lot of slips like that today. Freudian slips. But if, speaking like Freudian, or speaking about Freudian, however you say it, F, terrible, very poor movie. Think of The Fanatic. Think of The Last Jedi. I wouldn't put The Last Jedi in there, to be fair. I'd put Rise of Skywalker in there, though. Really, really bad movie. D, below average. Last Jedi is in here. Average to decent. It's a good watch. It's an average experience, but on the upper scale of average. A very enjoyable watch. The likes of Hobbs and Shaw will go in here. Very good movies. Good, very good. That is cream of the crop, Stephen. The likes of Cool Hand Luke.
Yeah.
Fantastic movies going here. And A is just absolute perfection. That's the likes of Shawshank Redemption, The Godfather, the original Star Wars. Movies like that, man. Apocalypse Now, absolute, just the greatest movies in the history of Hollywood. They go in there. And just a further afield as well, because I'd put Parasite in there. And Master nearly sneaked into there. We gave it a B+. So that's our rating system. That's how we operate. I don't think I've actually changed the review graphics, so we'll just float over to this just momentarily, and then I'll try and find the little... Where is it? There it's there, and I'll change it on the hop, because we've got Tupaki in there just now, and we're not actually speaking about...
No, that's not a problem.
Tupaki, so let's try and find it. Let's go. Alphabetical order. What a start to the show this is.
I think what we're doing as well, while we're doing that, I'll just get a bit
yes,
away here.
That'd be fantastic.
I think, John,
there it is.
We're into... This is our 5th Telepathy VJ movie now,
yes.
And we're gathering quite a list, so we're able to put it into an order of, a sequence of, best to worst, if there is a worst Telepathy VJ movie, I don't know, but I think we're getting to a stage now where actually finding our order of great Telepathy VJ movies and maybe slightly above average Telepathy VJ films.
Stephen, as you did say, the one common thing in his movies that I've seen so far is the social message he likes to portray. There's always an undercurrent, an interesting message being sent out. The army, I think it was in Tupaki.
Yeah.
Also in Sarkar, it was the multi-corporations abusing the farmer, the small man. Kaifi, I think was that Kaifi? I think Sarkar was the actual the political one. And then in this, of course, it's a sort of medical industry, the way they're abusing people who have no money. So there's that common theme. So even when the movies don't really hit off, as was the case with Sarkar, his performances there and the social message is really a powerful one, and that always manifests itself in these movies. So, but you're right, Stephen, we've got to the stage with the movies now. We've seen 5. There is a bit of a hierarchy forming. Master for me is the cream of the crop, and if you just want to stick around for 2 seconds and then bugger off, I rate this as joint second with Tupaki and the movies that I've watched so far.
I agree, John.
Really enjoyed this movie, Stephen. So there's my short little opinion on it. Really enjoyed it. Second best that I've seen yet, joint with Tupaki. But for the more in-depth, Stephen, if you want to stick around, then we'll do more in-depth. Stephen, the story. I've done a little paragraph about the story here. I says a twist-filled extravaganza with not 1, not 2, but 3 telepathy portrayed characters sharing the screen. In a sense, a young family torn apart We don't know why, and there's a guy, a magician, on a vengeance trail trying to kill doctors. We don't know why it is, but we just know he's wanting to clear them out. So that's the sort of general synopsis of this story, and then it of course fleshes out, I think, brilliantly with flashbacks and stuff like that. What did you make about this story, Steve? Did you enjoy the way it was written, the way it flowed, the character development? Because there was a bit of character development within this movie, and just the themes it explored. Did you enjoy the story? What did you make about the story?
The story, John. This was a film of two halves for me, but in a good way. Once I watched it all the way through, I really did enjoy it. But there was a moment halfway through this story that I was a bit concerned about. I thought perhaps maybe it peaked too soon, ran out of ideas perhaps, but no. Once you watch the film, you understand what's going on. From beginning to end. Now the story itself, John, and you mentioned 3 telepathy VJ characters in this as well. This shows the guy's acting abilities as well, where you can actually notice the difference in all these 3 characters he's portraying. He portrays a father, and it's the best. I think the best probably character. Is, John. I would agree. He plays a magician. We're kind of giving this is a spoiler, by the way, if you've not seen it. And he plays a doctor. Now there is a bit of confusion, John, and I find it might be to do with the translation of the film to a Western audience as well. Because I noticed there was some dodgy translation moments, Stephen. They'd say something and it was actually in English, and then the translation in English subtitles was slightly different. So if that's in the English language, what is it like in the actual Tamil language translating to English? But once I've seen the film in its entirety, John, I always feel I understand it after I've seen it all, but at that moment I'm like overthinking it too much. What does this mean? You know, and we were talking about the relationship between the 3 female leads as well. That was slightly confusing until the reveal halfway through the movie, and it all became clear after that. You know,
mostly the first relationship with also, I think it's
in Paris.
It's Vetri, I think. Is that his name? I have to search it out even now.
It's Vetri,
but it's Vetri, then it's Vetri Marin, then Marin. Vetri is the magician. He has that bump into that woman in Paris, and it's like, right, they fell in love. I think it's a doctor at this point. Is it even now? I'm not sure if it is. I think it is Vetri. Marin's at the I don't even think it's in Paris, Steve. And even now I think Marin's in Paris at the medical conference for him. Vetri I think is in Gdansk, because the actual stadium we reacted to the actual trailer or the actual song. It was in Gdansk. So Vetri was in Gdansk with this other woman who was at another medical conference with the guy that gets killed at the actual magician show. So when he has that relationship with her, the song, which is great incidentally, I'm like, right, that's that established. And then we have Marin having the other relationship with the journalist, and I'm like, what's going on here? I thought he had this relationship with the other woman. But then it does a good job of explaining it. These are 2 different characters, but it doesn't really come to the middle of the movie, Steve. John, you're right.
You think about it, that scene where he saved the woman's life, because the woman's life in the airport, because she was choking on her coffee. I don't understand that. But John,
I presume there's something else.
That was clearly not the magician.
No,
There's no way he would know how to do that. There's no way he would know how to do that. You'd have to be a medical professional to be able to do that kind of procedure. So it's only after you see the film that these things start to fall into place, because you're that engrossed in the story. You're talking about the story, John, and the story is well told. It's well written, and those little flashbacks when they're explaining how this came to be, these 2 characters were brothers. It's those little flashbacks in the airport. Both of them were in the airport at the same time, but you didn't see the other one and stuff like that. That was quite clever, I felt.
Stephen, it was Atli Kumar that wrote the movie. He wrote the script, he directed the movie. I think he did a great job of this story. It was twist-filled, as I did say, really intelligently crafted. Utilising 3 different characters, that's something that's quite difficult to put onto screen. It's easy to write it into a screenplay, but actually manifesting that onto the screen with the one actor portraying them.
Technology as well, John.
Technology very impressive.
Yeah, well, there was a point where he was slapping himself. It looked really convincing.
Steve, I don't know how they did it. I presume they're utilising body doubles on the floor, and then obviously
it's a fake, deep fake thing. I don't know.
Well, was it what one was it? Was it? I think it was Kaifi, where the end scene was the most impressive for me, when Telepathy's walking away and he looks back and he's the other character that's him, who looks like him, is in the distance, standing with all of these sort of people outside the courtroom. So there's previews for this. They can do it pretty well, I feel, in India. It's not something they really delve too much into over here with double actors, unless it's Eddie Murphy or something like that. And then it's played for comic relief.
John, what I'll say as well is that I think maybe Ruth in our comment section said that they do this a lot in Indian films with actors playing two characters in the same film.
I think it was Bahubali, Stephen, because obviously Prabhas played Mahendra and whatever the other one was called, Bahubali.
I can't remember, John, but that Sarkar it was, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't explained enough, and I don't think their whole reaction of meeting each other was that overwhelming. It was as if it was just normal. There was there was just no shock value at all. And they just kind of moved on from it. In this, we get the backstory of how that became. That's what makes this film great. That's what makes this story great. That's what makes this film and its story acceptable. But John, you mentioned there as well Bahubali. This 3-hour film, almost 3-hour film, is like a condensed version of Bahubali, the beginning and the conclusion, in terms of what you just said. The
structure.
The father.
It's like the structure. They tell the story, then they go back in time to reveal why things are playing out. They're playing out, and then it goes to the future again.
Because John, I'll be honest with you, Bahubali, the beginning, I think we might have mentioned this in the review, might not have.
Mm-hmm.
I found that a little bit confusing. It wasn't until we saw the conclusion that all made sense, and
it's almost like a 3-act story in 2 movies. Yeah, Stephen, it's a ballsy way to craft a movie in terms of story. Because you're hoping that the audience will come in and just give themselves up to the movie, and then trust the filmmaker to actually get it right, handle it correctly, and then fill you in. Because Stephen, you've had this with the likes of Ari Aster over here, slow style director, it's sort of drip feeding the story information to the audience. And then you become immersed in the world and you start getting more information. You're like, that's what he's doing, that's what it was like in this movie for me. And that's why I think the story was sublime in this movie. The way he handled it, Atley Kumar, the way it was, the pacing, the characters, the way he developed the characters, the way the story unfolded for the audience, and he felt you in. I mean, we're talking 2 hours into the movie, he starts filling details in, and you're like, right, okay, that's cool. So I liked the story. I thought the story was very good. The themes explored, we spoke about that, Stephen. Corruption in the health care system over in India. They're abusing the poorest people from these little villages that have to go and get, obviously, health emergencies and stuff like that. They have to take their kids in. They'll just abuse them. They'll add money onto the bill, and they're just wrongings in a sense. And again, Telepathy, being the guy he is, he's done a great job of highlighting this in the medium of film. And we spoke about that before, Steve, and it's easy when you've got money and you're a huge name, John, to forget about the little man. But this guy wants to level people up with him.
I think especially here in the UK, we're very privileged to have a National Health Service. And this is the early warning sign. See anyone in Britain that really want to know what it's like outside Britain not to have a National Health Service, watch this film and you'll see what it could be like.
You're at the mercy of insurance companies.
Yeah, if you privatise our National Health Service. But you're right, John, and I think for people in the United Kingdom, the scene with the girl that gets hit with the bus is probably the most hard-hitting point they're making, and how that was dealt with. Those 10 minutes, messing about, trying to get her to a hospital, negotiating a price.
Taking it to a different hospital
ridiculous.
Because they can get more money for her in that hospital. Steve, I was going to get to that standout moments, but you're right, it feels wrong to say that's a standout moment, but it certainly was. But the little kid getting hit with the truck, it was shocking. It was a shocking scene.
It was very graphic.
There is multiple, I should say, scenes in this movie where there's violence and they don't step back from the violence. They certainly they show you the graphic nature of someone falling out a building and hitting the ground. A little girl getting hit with a truck. Telepathy's character getting hit with a truck. Hey, got a comment here, Stephen. The selling point of the movie is how some private hospitals risk people's lives to make money. I think it's really been addressed through some scene. What do you guys think? Yes, absolutely. And they did a great job of addressing that, Atley. And that scene in particular, when the little girl gets hit and she dies because they're, in a sense, fucking around, wasting time, trying to get the best price, and then abusing and manipulating the father's situation to try and get more money out of him. That was best summed up in that little scene. But Stephen, the whole movie's about that, really. The Vetri character, he is wiping these doctors out. We don't understand why he's wiping them out,
Yeah.
but it becomes clear that his family's been implicated in this. There's a shocking scene in the flashback where there's a cesarean section given to the mother.
Yeah.
It's not necessary. It's the start of this. What was he? Daniel, I think it was, the doctor.
Daniel, yeah.
Daniel, the Daniel doctor character. In a sense, he's trying to kickstart a climate of abusing patients to get more money, having to stay in the hospital longer so they can get more money out of them. And that backfires, obviously, for the veteran Marin character's mother. And that's why he's on this vengeance trail. He's aware of the corruption in the hospitals. He wants to kill all of the doctors and wipe the board clean and start again. But that's not revealed to 2 hours in. So again, that was ballsy, man. But you're right, it was about the sort of private hospital setup and them abusing patients and try to, in a sense, grab money off of the poorest in society. Stephen, standout moments. So man, I mean, I've got a few. I've got a whole paragraph here of standout moments. The Paris scene, I did enjoy the Paris scene. Although I was confused why the actual soldiers were stopping them and why they were speaking in English accents when they were from Paris.
I know, John. I think the whole point was, I think telepathy actually highlighted the point of his skin colour. You know, what he was wearing might have offended them. Highlighting the possible racists.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I think it did. I think it says don't judge a book or something. He speaks in Tamil and then he actually translates it for them to show that he's a smarty pants. Stephen, also the first fight scene as well, I liked that. The magic tricks are involved. He's doing all sorts of things. I think they're in this cafe. He tries to buy coffees for... I'm trying to find the actual character's name. I'll go on to IMDb. I have it up just now. I think, and don't quote me on this, but I think it may be Samantha, who is the actual character, Tara. I don't know if it is Tara. I think it is though. I think Kajal Argawal is the Marin love interest in this movie. But he tries to buy coffees for her. People come in to rob this cafe and he's doing all sorts of magic tricks. And the one that stood out for me was him saving her ring, her mother's ring, and transforming it into a tarantula.
That was a good...
And just the way he beats the shit out of them, it sets up early doors that this veterinary character can handle himself. And I love that. I thought that was a standout scene for me. The way he slid out the jacket. The guy tries to grab him by the jacket and he slides right out it. And he's like, nope, bitch, not going to happen. Did you have any standout moments, Stephen? Because there's quite a few for me. There was quite a few. Obviously, the actual doctor is the slight operator. This guy, a well-respected doctor, handy fighter, and he's brilliant. He's a brilliant magician. That's before I realised it was two different characters. Yeah. What is? If you get, maybe you can share some standout moments, Stephen.
John, I'll be honest with you.
Yogi Babu's in it. I like that.
Yeah,
that's 3 movies.
He's just one of these guys that stands out, isn't he? He's just. As you say, he's not in it much, but you do notice him. It's just one of those faces, isn't it?
The hair as well.
John, there was probably some of the actual dance numbers were very well put together. The one with the kids, I loved that. The one, you know, they kicked
Mersal
off.
Arasan, yes.
I loved that. I know that we
reacted to it, but I don't think it get through, Steve.
No, I never
think
get
it
through.
blocked.
If anyone's asking us to do it, we have done it. We just can't get it out.
It was great.
But it was great, you know, and it was
crescendo of colour, I've said.
There was so many bits. There was a bit at the fairground as well, which I liked. John, I liked that whole fairground sequence as well, the fire. I thought that was a great standout moment as well. When it happened, I knew there was something behind it. That wasn't an accident.
No.
And it was revealed it wasn't an accident.
Stephen, I actually thought it was the other villagers who were arguing over whether to sell the water and do something else, build another thing in its place. I thought they'd went back and set it light. Obviously, it transpires it's the Daniel character, the doctor.
Yeah,
he's been manipulating it, trying to get a hospital in from day dot, in a sense.
That scene as well, John, between I don't know what the father's name was.
Veteran Marin. He gets called telepathy.
Yeah, I noticed that as well.
And telepathy
that confused me. Yeah,
I think it just means it's a name for. I think the actual general's the actual translation, but I think it just doubles
that,
for
face
boss.
off they had at the end. I felt that the Daniel character was telling him a lot of information. It didn't really have to tell him. Very much like a Bond villain does in the old Bond films. That is, you know, he'd tell him what his plan was going to be before. Yeah, you know,
just so the little kid can eavesdrop and then tell Vetri, and who he can then go on the vengeance years later.
That's it, exactly.
But yeah, I think he was just trying to lord it over him really and say, look, you try to do this, but I'm too smart for you. I didn't want to kill you, your unborn baby, your wife. It was just an accident.
I would say for me, John, the standout moment for me was the magic act.
Yeah,
I thought that
the
was
magic
amazing.
show was fantastic.
And it was a shocking end to it as well,
And just
which I never expected.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to do something cheeky to him. I don't think he was going to murder the guy.
Stephen, I liked the fact he murdered them.
Yeah,
but of course we were confused at that point because we didn't realise the motives of Vetri.
No.
But just the way he was operating, the tiger, CGI tiger, was very impressive as well.
Good, yeah.
A little bit
I liked
wonky
that.
in the motion, but I liked the CG. Yeah, that whole magic show was great. Very slick from Telepathy. And the fact he speaks in Tamil at the end, I think he looks down his nose at him because he's from Tamil, this other doctor. So he speaks. The crowd are not aware of what he's saying, and he basically says, look, I'm going to kill you, bitch. And he stabs him, and it was fantastic. And the way he slid out, the curtain comes down, it was like Tommy Cooper. But Stephen, we got another comment. If you don't know who Tommy Cooper is, he was a guy that actually died while
Just like
performing. He basically had a heart attack on the stage, and the curtain came down, and boom, he was gone. Another comment. I find the Vetri's pair, which played by Kajal Arjawal, is nothing but just a plot device. She doesn't really add anything important to the movie. She doesn't really.
No.
Just a slight love interest, isn't it? And look, I like Kajal. I think she's class. That's a couple of movies I've seen now. She can sing, she can dance. I presume she can sing, I don't know. But she was alright in it. It wasn't bad. But I think the two female characters were, in a sense, just plot devices. Just to help churn the movie along a little bit. Ruth is in. She's commented the actor who played the villain is also a director in his own right. I loved the villain. I have to say it. The villain was a little bit 2D, don't get me wrong, man. It wasn't anything out there. But SG Surya was absolutely fantastic. I thought he's such a cool looking guy.
Yeah.
The flashback younger version and the older version with the salt and pepper hair, just a cool dude, man. I really enjoyed him. And I liked the sort of way he was manipulating things, the FaceTime and the audio call. We had him bent over a barrel at one point. But of course this movie twists and turns and they get their own back. Stephen, I enjoyed the songs as well, I have to say. Macho Song, I says when we reacted to it, it was one of my favourite. Telepathy, I keep having to correct myself, I've been saying it wrong all along. One of my favourite Telepathy dance videos. It was in Gdansk, historic city. It used to be called something else, which I can't remember at the moment, but it used to be a German city or a Prussian city, and then after World War II it became Polish because the Nazis were shitheads. Gdansk, great city, great setting, cracking song, really liked the dance. It was slick as hell. And I says it perfectly fit the mood for these two loved up doctors, and I was confused when, of course, the Kajal Arjawal character comes in later and they've got another loved up dance number. I'm like, what's going on here? But lots of good songs in this, man. 4 to be precise. You spoke about Mersal, the colourful sort of town one, but for me, I'm going to try and say this, but I'm going to butcher it. Ala Poran Tamasan, the last dance number. Really like that, man. Ceremonial colours galore. I think it was the flashback to the actual veteran Marin character, and it's just all these sort of the kids being born, it's reds and it's yellows, powders, just amazing, man. Drum heavy song, really enjoyed that, thought that was great. So that's a standout moment for me. Not going to take over though, Stephen, if you get any other standout moments.
I've mentioned them. The magic act for me was the sort of pinnacle moment for me in the film, out with obviously the sort of finale to the movie, but that was a standout for me. That's the bit when I think of this film I'm going to think of that scene. Obviously, that final sword going down on him. Yeah,
that was good. Stephen, the veteran Marin fight scene in the rain, though, the slow motion shot of the chicken. The little chicken moves out the way and it's slow mo. I loved that. Felt for the chicken, but I loved it as well. It'd been someone's stomach just now, anyway. Let's be honest. Unless it's a vegan. Many gripping speeches from Telepathy as well in this. The last one, speaking about the medicine, the sort of medical free Medicare and stuff. Fucking American term, Medicare, free medical treatment. Just the whole flashback stuff as well. We spoke about that though. It was really intelligent to do flashbacks. Stephen, if you get any criticisms of the movie, for me, I've got one, and I'm going to admit it. I felt like it was supposed to be an intermission in the movie, but of course we watched it on Netflix, so there was no intermission. And he says, I liked the way he threw the shackles onto the guy that was interrogating him, but he says, I'm a magician. I'm not finished, I'm just getting started, so let's get going. And he throws the card at the camera. That would have worked well on a theatre with an intermission, but on Netflix it's like, woof, jarring. It just cuts to another scene. I'm like, what was going on there? So that was a slight criticism for me. And look, the whole double thing, that took me off. That caught me off guard. But I was aware of it, Stephen, because you did say.
I'll be honest with you, if you told me before going into this film that Telepathy VJ was going to play in 3 characters, I should
have realised, because it says it in IMDb.
Yeah,
I didn't understand.
I do avoid that. But it might have slightly put me off watching the film. because I'm not really keen on that whole thing. I remember Jean-Claude Van Damme did it in the 90s with Double Impact, and it was terrible.
I avoid Jean-Claude Van Damme movies.
Terrible. Sometimes it just doesn't work. But we're at a stage with the technology now that you can actually have seamless conversations with yourself. You can have fight sequences where you can slap yourself and it looks realistic. Back then you couldn't do that, so it's kind of it's one of those ones I think they've mastered over the years to get it more organic looking, and it certainly did it in this film. But as far as negative, John, it's very hard to say, because the only thing I felt some of the editing could have been trimming the film down a little bit, maybe by 10-15 minutes. I just think there was some scenes went on just too long, I think, especially in the flashback, John. There was a lot, I felt it was just too long a flashback. Very much like Bahubali, the conclusion.
That was a whole movie.
That whole movie was based on the flashback, so it was acceptable. And this was supposed to be a sequence and a story. And it went on for quite a while. Maybe about 45 minutes. 40
minutes, Stephen. You could trim some things, Stephen. Tuwin Nada, who commented, actually says that also the Kawal, I'm going to try and say her name, man, here. I'll read it. Kajal Argawal character, and even the Samantha character, they could have been, they were pretty much superfluous to this movie, Stephen. You could have cut them out of the movie and probably trimmed about 20 minutes off it. And realistically, would they have been missed? Probably from a nice little tangent standpoint, maybe. Just to give a bit of 3D-ness, for lack of a better word, to the actual character, Moran and Vetri. But you could have cut them out and it could have been a straight sort of thriller, if you even calling this a thriller, sort of action movie, and it would have been fine. A sort of multi-layered drama action, if you like. So I agree, the editing could have been a little bit more, how would you call it, taut, for lack of a better word, a little tighter.
John, there was another bit I didn't like, was that kind of I can't remember the magician. It was some visuals he was using as weapons. Yeah, it was little stars, little batarang things.
No,
it was actual like orbs. It was like little holograms. It was part of the fighting sequence. I'm like, don't know if I like that. It's a bit too fantasy for me.
Well, Stephen, that's another thing. It did wind me up as well, I'm not going to lie. The whole Grandmaster magician thing, going off and speaking to him, and yes, I took him under my wing. He was my son, and they could have cut that out. I didn't need to know that. We know he's a magician. He's very talented. That was unnecessary. It was like
I think it was really just to point out how powerful a magician he is.
He's very, very powerful. Yeah. But Steve, we've seen that in the fight scene at the start of the movie.
He's not a Paul Daniels magician. He's an actual
he's much better.
Wizard.
Yes, he's an actual wizard. Stephen, that's fine, man. Look, the movie did have fantasy elements, and that's absolutely fine with the obviously the magic. But as Tuan does say there, it does take courage to convey social messages in every movie he's been doing, I should say. I did say there'd be moments I'd be having strokes on this, because I've had one of those days. Don't know why, but I have. But Stephen, I keep saying that it speaks volumes for the guy, Talapafi, Joseph. I'm going to call him Joseph because I like the name Joseph. It speaks volumes. It takes courage for this guy to be on the pedestal he's on, to be a superstar. He could forget about the little man in the street and just live a life of luxury away from all of the problems. But he wants to get involved. He wants to help out people who are in situations he perhaps experienced when he was younger. He wants to level them up. He wants to bring attention to corruption. And he's done it in 3-4 movies now that I've watched. So I tip my hat to him. I'm not going to do it because I'm a baldy, so I don't want to do that. But I do tip my hat to him. It takes balls to do that, man. And it speaks volumes for the kind of guy. Even the comment about, at the end in the speech, about the oxygen cylinders. Major hospitals, government hospitals, don't have oxygen cylinders. And of course, he came back recently from America, I think it was Georgia, and he brought oxygen cylinders back with him because of the COVID thing. So that was very pertinent. I think this was a couple of years back.
But 2017,
Just terrible, man, that you've got government hospitals that are underperforming, I don't know, whatever the word would be. They've not got enough equipment in a sense. So look, it takes balls, you're right. In a sense, that's what I'm saying, you're right too, man. The guy doesn't have to do it and he keeps doing it. Stephen, the final thing I would bring up was the ending. I liked the ending. I liked the swapping of the two brothers. They swap identities and they try to hoodwink Daniel, and they do it. And I think it's his nephew goes to confront Marin, but it's actually Vetri that's waiting on him. And they call back to the moment he threatens them with the radio artery. I think he says, and he slices it. Hold it up, where is it? And he points to it. It's all right, I'm not going to cut it. And then he slices it, and that guy runs. And the poetry when he goes to that little cab, and it's the mother, the guy whose mother, or the guy whose daughter and wife died. He's taking him to the hospital. That. I'm like, fucking
That's
yes.
karma, John.
That was absolute karma and motion. That was like John Lennon. Instant karma is going to get you. And the ending was great. Just the whole bottle smashing. Obviously,
John,
Marin died.
See that whole taxi scene you're talking about there? You can guarantee that driver took his time. It took those 10 minutes that counted to get him to that hospital.
Yes, absolutely, man.
Guarantee that's what happened.
Take 11 minutes instead.
John Ruth says VJ's name is Joseph VJ Telepathy. Telepathy is a title fans gave him, meaning commander.
Yes, it get used a couple of times in this movie, Telepathy. Joseph, we know he's I think he's Catholic, isn't he? Which is, I don't know if that's rare over in India.
Is he? I don't know.
I think he is. I'm sure I read up on him. Obviously, I'm good friends with Andhra Pradesh, a guy from Andhra Pradesh, Stephen Hyderabad. I think he's Hindu. I think Hindu is by far the most common religion over in India, but we're not getting into religion. That's something that...
Thanks, Ruth.
It destroys Glasgow and Scottish society religion, so we don't like to speak about that. But look, it's a good name, Joseph. I like that name. That's all I'm going to say on it. Stephen... That's a good name, isn't it? Performance.
It's a name.
It's performances, Stephen. Look... Yes, he's Catholic. Yeah, that's good. I don't know what to say. That's good. Doesn't matter, man.
Oh, it's good that you're right.
It's good that I'm right. Yes, it's good that I'm right. We've had some week here in Scotland, believe me, when it comes to religious hatred and stuff like that. Anti-Catholic, anti-Irish racism getting swept under the carpet by governments, by the police. So we've had some week here. So look, I wish I was in India. It's a much better country. That's all I'm going to say. Stephen, performances in this movie, man. Again, the dog's farted. Telepathy. For me, again, just taking on 3 roles. It takes absolute balls. It takes great acting ability to differentiate to the audience these 3 different characters. And I think he does it. Marin's a little bit more subdued. He's a little bit more humble.
Yeah.
But we see he can handle himself with the one-handed combat at the end. It's almost Bruce Lee-like. Vetri's a little bit more gregarious.
Yep.
Confident. He's a magician. He likes performing in front of people. Marin's shy. He doesn't want to have interviews with people. No. It differentiates those 2 brothers. Then Vetri Marin, for me, was the best character in the whole movie.
Yeah.
So dominant, a leader, an actual leader.
I think he was all rounded as well, John.
Yeah.
The interesting thing about this, you've got the sensitivity. Can you bring up the names again, John? Because I struggle with the names. The Marin character had the sensitivity, whereas Vetri had the sort of the instincts and the streetwise sort of side to it. I think Vetri Marin had both of these. He's
very sensitive, but hard as nails.
Characteristics.
And the mother, we can't forget the mother. She, I think it was. Trying to find the mother. Was it Nifa Meenan who played the mother? She was great, man.
She was the most prominent one. Yeah. She was.
Well up for it.
Yeah, she was.
She had to fight. Yeah. Get me a mango.
John, for me, it's Telepathy, VJ. Just for those reasons, playing 3 characters, 3 very different characters in the one movie is a very tall order, and he managed to do it because you can tell the difference. I thought it might have been hard to tell the difference between Marin and Vetri, but it was very easy, just because his body language as well. I don't know if you noticed that Vetri had the swagger, you know, and as you said, Marin had a more sort of insular.
Yeah, he was a slightly shy guy. Different upbringing, obviously.
And he always looked down and up like that, whereas Vetri had his head up high all the time, he'd always look at who he was talking to. Just subtle things like that. That's what makes him stand out for me. But I was always going to pick him anyway, John. But we can't forget, obviously, Dr. Daniel there.
Yes, Daniel was great, man. S.J. Surya, I loved him.
Fantastic.
Really interesting character. But again, just the looks, man. Just a cool looking guy. Some head of hair, the beard, and the flashback 70s get-up. By far the best outfit in the whole movie was his get-up. He's sitting in his office smoking a cigar or something, just playing that sort of Bond villain. A very, very cool performance from S.J. Surya. I liked him. Kajal Agarwal, I always like her. That's a couple of movies I've seen her in now. She was good. Samantha's great as ever, but again, we could have cut those characters out, Stephen. For me, the best female performance was Nifa Menon. I hope that is the mother of, obviously, Marin and Vetri. I think she played Ashwari, Vetri Marin, but of course they were calling her Icy. I think that was the nickname. She was absolutely fantastic as well. Really enjoyed that. A couple of comments. I was meant to portray both sides of the father. Yeah, exactly. You're right, Stephen. He was the complete guy, and they split these two sons off, and they almost have half his personality, and we require those two to come together to actually obviously win the day in a sense. But Steve,
John,
we got another comment.
You can read the last one, John.
I can't read that, sadly. We do not understand what that means, but we appreciate the comment nonetheless. I can't speak.
Yogi,
The beer's getting to my head. Yogi, thank you for coming in. I hope you're not saying we're absolute arseholes. We will translate that later. And if you are, that's absolutely fine. We'll own it. But Stephen, that's the performances. Technical stuff, cinematography. Look, we had a slow motion chicken shot in this movie. What more do you want in life? That for me sums up the cinematography in this movie. There was some great shots in this. I enjoyed the cinematography. I don't know who was the director of photography in this. Stephen, we both spoke about the score.
Yeah.
Really liked the score.
John?
There was sort of fluty, pipey elements.
I said that sounded like a Bill Conti.
Yeah.
Numbers, the sort of fluty trumpet thing going on.
Yeah.
Nearer the end of the movie, it just kind of stood out for me. But it was a great.
And obviously in
score.
Fanny, the song, there's amazing sort of sitar vina parts. They kind of they oscillate. Fantastic. He's asking why we aren't asleep yet. I'm not asleep because it's only 16 minutes past 12.
I think he might be asking Ruth and Tuan why they're not asleep.
Why you're not asleep. Well, Ruth's in Australia, so I don't know what time it is in Australia. Probably about 10 o'clock or something.
John, Ruth, I was actually just thinking about we're doing a Q&A a week on Sunday, but I don't know how that works for you guys in Australia, because I think it's going to be like 3 in the morning to you. But it was that way where we did our best to try and accommodate the West and the East, and we found this balance in somewhere in between at 3:30 in the
Australia
UK.
is just a strange country though, isn't it? It likes spiders, which turns me off. I'm not going to lie. I can't have a country that has spiders the size of my hand and plates hanging around, but it fits in a strange place when it comes to time zones. The script writer for Mersal is the same as the Bahubali. It's Atlee, isn't it? Atlee Kumar.
There you are.
And again, as we did say, it shares big elements of Bahubali. It's a similar sort of structure with the flashback in the middle, unveiling what's going on in the story. I like it. I like the way it's done. I like Bahubali. Just because of Prabhas, because I think he's dynamite. We can't knock back Rana Dagabati either. He's fantastic too.
Amazing.
As Balala Deva. Yup, it will be too late, but no worries, I'm a night owl. So am I. 4 in the morning I stay up to every single night, or morning if you'd like. I wait till the sun comes up till I hit my sack.
Now, John, just before we move on, we'll just stay on the Q&A just for a little second here, just before we continue this. We're not going to reveal the name, but we do have a very special guest coming on the Q&A. So
the best speaker of movie burners.
Stay tuned for that.
Let's just say the best hair in MBE and the best speaker in MBE. Believe me, he blows us out of the water, so you're in for a treat. Another comment: the airport scenes stand out to be one of the best scenes ever done in a VJ movie. Talks about some people trying to measure people by their appearance. Exactly. Never judge a book by its cover.
Exactly.
It's a nonsense. We're all human after all. But that's the French for you. Fucking assholes.
We're all human.
I love France.
Yeah.
I love France, man.
Yeah.
Just prefer Germany. But I don't know why I say that. But Stephen, technical stuff. Anything else to add to the technical stuff? We kind of criticised the editing, but it was okay. It was
more about pacing than anything. The actual editing of scenes was fine. There was nothing glaring. It flowed well. I just felt the movie went on a little bit too long. Maybe 10-15 minutes could have been trimmed, but horses for courses. Still enjoyed it. But technical things, John, I think just the sort of the tone of the sort of 3 worlds that these 3 characters live in as well was very cleverly done. Just that sort of slickness for the magician, sort of more down to earth, grounded environment for the Doctor, and obviously the father. Just that wholesome sort of surroundings, the village, just everything about it, the people around them and all that, just the sort of look of the film I'm trying to get to. I think they did that very well. Yeah,
they did, Stephen. Look, it was very well shot, as I did say, the movie. And you're right, the sort of, again, the manifestation of the characters, very different. People come from very different backgrounds, if you like, and that was visually captured. Stephen, overall thoughts on this movie? I tell you, I enjoyed it a lot. I've kind of backed myself into a corner because I did rate Tupaki a C+, and I feel like this is on a par with Tupaki. So I think I'm going to. I don't know why I'm backing myself into a corner. We'll get the rating. We'll get the rating. I'll pick what I'm going to rate it. I'm very spontaneous guy. I may change my mind at the last minute here. Stephen, overall thoughts. I enjoyed it. I thought it was very well crafted movie, ambitious with the actual story, what they try to achieve, what he tried to achieve actually. And a multi-character performance from Telepathy once again. I really enjoyed it, man. I thought it was ballsy, and the way it flowed on the screen, it actually paid off. It could have been a disaster, but it actually paid off. And for me, the best character in the whole movie was Veteran Marin, and that was in the flashback sequence. So I liked the movie a lot, man. But what's your thoughts, Steve?
My thoughts, John, is a social message. I just loved that. You know, I think people in the UK have to wise up to what we have over here. I think they have to realise how
Tories
well off we are with the NHS. It's a privilege to have it. It's been a privilege for the past 60 years having this.
It was Labour that brought it in, wasn't it?
And we know who wants to abolish it
for
their own financial gain, because money speaks louder than human life, you know, with a lot of rich people. And that message is in this film. And they nailed it. They absolutely nailed it, John. Anyone that's not seen this film, I highly recommend it just for the social message. It's a really important message as well going forward for generations to come everywhere in the world.
Yeah, Stephen, but look, ratings, what are you giving this movie, Stephen?
I'm going to a C+, John.
Boom. I'm going to give it a C+ as well, Stephen. I was borderline giving it a B- there, but I'm going to give it a C+, because I think it's on an even par with Tupaki, and I really enjoyed Tupaki as well, so I don't want to do that at Tupaki. I'm going to rate these level. Really enjoyed it. It was a great movie, man. It's up the upper echelons of... I'm going to change that rating system because I don't feel like C... It's unfair to call it average. I'm going to call it good. And I'm going to call B very good and A perfect. Because this is a good movie, man. It ain't an average movie. That's a disservice to it. So we'll change that. I'll get that changed for the next review, whatever it's going to be next week. But I really, really enjoyed it. I think a C+ is pretty... I think that's a decent rating, man.
I think it is fair.
But that's going to round our review up, man. Again, we've got a couple of comments. I'll read them. Ruth saying it's not as bad all over Australia for creepy crawlies. I don't trust you, Ruth. Melbourne that's pretty good. There's bird-eating spiders over there, the size of a plate. Now, Stephen, you'll affirm that we stay in a place called Cambuslang here, which is on the green belt of Glasgow. Glasgow, as Lemmy would say. And you will affirm that the spiders get to about this size here, Stephen.
Yeah.
They get big. That's as big as they get for Scotland.
That's still tiny.
And that's still tiny for Australia. And I'm hiding in my bed when I see a spider like that. So, no. It doesn't matter where we go, man. It's not going to happen. And snakes as well. I love snakes. I'm the year of a serpent. But Stephen, I'm gibbering again. I need to get better at these endings. You seen last night? You're laughing at it, Stephen.
John, I can't laugh. I can't close shows. You've seen me doing it. I've had meltdowns.
So I'm going to try and be very slick here, clinical with this ending. That's going to round up our review of Mersal, as I think you said it was, not Mersal. What is your thoughts on this movie? Can you recommend any more Telepathy movies? Because we want to go down the rabbit hole with this guy. Give us some recommendations below. What should we review next? I think someone says not to review Sashi and not to watch it, so we'll probably not do that. Share some of that. But what's your thoughts on this movie? What do you think about our review, our thoughts on it? You can comment below if you feel compelled to share it in the comment section. You can also like the video, subscribe to the channel on YouTube, hit the follow button over on Twitch if you want to see more content like this in the future. And if you do, you'll see us again. But look, until then, guys, bye-bye. That's better, wasn't it? That was just a little bit better. Just a bit. We'll be back, guys. Listen, I watch a guy on Twitch that's gone to Melbourne twice. This is a drink getting to me. And he confirms that Melbourne is a sound place, so I'll trust him. Roscoe.